Avenir is a global career guidance event to empower students and assist them in identifying their ideal future career path. It was conceptualized by the Board of Directors of Indian Schools in Sultanate of Oman. The first Avenir was organized at Indian School Al Mabala in the year 2018. In 2019, Indian School El Seeb conducted the program. Indian School Muscat conducted the first virtual Avenir in the year 2020. Avenir 2021 was conducted virtually by Indian School Al Wadi Al Kabir. In 2022, the flagship school in Oman. Indian School Boshar is all set to fly the flag higher by conducting Avenir 2022 in hybrid mode. Our impeccable planning, devoted team, unmatched resources guarantee a memorable event. The 5-day event will be held from Thursday, October 13, 2022 to Tuesday, October 18, 2022. Prominent achievers, educators, and industry experts will address the audience. Universities and educational institutes from different corners of the globe will present themselves to the audience of Avenir 2022. The event is open to all educational boards, including CBSE, ICSE, IGCSE, and IB. It will provide comprehensive career guidance to students to pursue their passions at national and international universities. Avenir 2022 guarantees a wealth of information and awareness on 21st century courses, scholarships, internships, and career placements. This event will assist students in discovering their ideal future career path. Let us gather together for this 5 days of excitement, effulgence, enlightenment, exploration, and exaltation. Let's join Avenir 2022 to discover you.
Good management is the art of making problems so interesting and their solutions so constructive that everyone wants to get to work and deal with them. Good evening, one and all. Let me take you all through the listings of what to expect in today's session, Avenir 2022, #DiscoverYou. The prelude of the university will be followed by the welcome address. The detailing of the courses available and the process of admission will be put forth. We shall conclude the session with a vote of thanks. Founded in 1898, Dallas Baptist University is a nationally recognized global university with competitive academic programs. DBU offers 84 degree programs, 85 bachelor's, 36 master's, 2 doctoral, and an intensive English program. Over 4,500 students enrolled, including over 600 international students from nearly 60 countries. DBU is located 15 minutes from downtown Dallas, DFW International Airport. Nationally ranked Tier 1, 281, University, US News and World Report 2019. Ranked number 1 for Elementary Teacher Preparation Program, National Council on Teaching Quality. Recognized as one of the safest campus in Texas. Named College of Distinction, Colleges of Distinction in Texas. We have a personal teaching environment between professors and students. The faculty-student ratio is 13:1. These are the pictures of Dallas Baptist University campus. This is the International Center, School of Leadership, undergraduate and graduate business programs, Fitness Center, the Student Center, DBU housing. Several housing options are available. They are affordable, safe and clean, easily accessible on and off campus. They're diverse, living learning opportunities, year-round housing, tobacco, drug, and alcohol-free campus. International Student Clubs, African Student Club, Brazilian Student Club, International Chinese Fellowship, Indonesian Student Fellowship, Korean Student Association, Organization of Latin American Students, South Asian Student Association. These are the contact details. Dr. Sanjay Purushothaman.
Good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Avenir 2022, #DiscoverU, a global career guidance program launched by Indian School Bausha under the aegis of the Board of Directors of Indian Schools in Oman. On behalf of the Indian School Bausha, I'm Meenakshi of Class 9.
And I, Shreya of Class 10.
Take the proud privilege of expressing a profound gratitude to His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq Al Said for the altruistic and noble benevolence showered on the Indian diaspora in the Sultanate of Oman. May the Almighty shower His choicest blessings on His Majesty, and may this nation experience peace and everlasting prosperity.
We are happy to welcome all the students, parents, and teachers to be a part of Avenir 2022, #DiscoverU. Thank you one and all for your benign presence here this evening. We would like to request the audience to kindly post your queries in the question and answer box. It is with sheer joy and great pride that I take the task of introducing our speaker today. Mr. Rick Jordan is currently pursuing PhD in Leadership Studies at Dallas Baptist University in Texas. He has work experience as a faculty for management concentration, adjunct professor for management concentration, and supervised employees, and was responsible for the direction of employees, including scheduling, performance management, bookkeeping, expense management, and inventory control. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please join me in welcoming our speaker, Mr. Rick Jordan. The platform is all yours, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to start sharing my screen, but first let me start off by saying thank you for having me. I don't take lightly invitations to conferences and things, and I know you could have asked a lot of people, so I appreciate it. Could you give me a thumbs up to make sure my mic and everything is fine? Good. All right. Good. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I'll begin to share my screen. And before I share my screen, I kind of want to talk to you about what we'll be doing today and the purpose and why we're going through all this presentation. So the title of the presentation, and let me could the host allow me to share my presentation?
Yes, sir. Okay.
So while we're doing that, I wanted to, when they asked me to present, and I love the title of Discover You. And I think that's such an important topic, especially for young students and young people in their career, because if you're able to discover who you are, and the earlier you can do that, I believe that you could project and be on the purpose of your whatever that your life is going to be about. And discovering you is a process, but I wanted to talk about how to create your legacy in a corporation. How to create your legacy in a corporation. There we go. Okay, if you don't mind giving another thumbs up to see that my screen is shared. There we go. All right, awesome. So how to create your legacy in a corporation. We'll find ourselves pursuing different careers, pursuing different avenues of business and the jobs that you will have, but what will last? What will you be known for? Right? What are the things that you want people to understand and know whenever they cross paths with you? What are some of the things and some of the tools that are necessary in order to create this legacy in a corporation? Now, I put how to create your legacy in a corporation, but today's presentation will actually go over and be applicable to corporations, to small businesses, to large businesses, to anything that you're going to decide to do for your career. So don't just limit today's presentation on only a corporation, but I'm coming from a corporate background, so these are very applicable to corporate jobs. Now, today will be very practical. We will go over different tools that are modern, that are current in today's work environment, and these principles will be like a foundational thing. So let me first tell you a little bit about me. So my corporate career started off in banking. I started off as a part-time teller with Bank of America and worked my way up the ladder. And by the time I left, which was almost 15 years, I was managing several financial centers at one time. And on a personal note, most of my managing centers was in an area with a highly concentrated Indian population. So I've been nicknamed different names, but the Indian culture is something that means near and dear to my heart. I cannot tell you how many times I've eaten biryani or tandoori or tikka masala, and the garlic naan bread is one of my favorite types of bread there is on this planet. So, and furthermore, while I'm excited to present to you all for someone that understands as much as a quote unquote Westerner would, but a person that truly loves Indian food, if you don't remember anything, and we'll talk about that later. But managing financial centers actually helped me with creating a legacy. And I want to show you some of the tools and some of the things that I've learned over the years for this. So, what will be your legacy? And that might be a difficult question to ask a lot of you based off your age, because you don't know what's in front of you. You don't know what life has in store for you. And these are some very influential people that I understand and know about their life. And then when they were your age, maybe they didn't know the exact imprint that they were going to make on the world, but the fact that they did anyway, I'm going to give you some tools. So it's going to be in two main points of how to create your legacy in a corporation. First is your character. First is your character, who you are on the inside. And then second is the communication. So we're going to talk about who you are as an individual inside, but we're also going to talk about some skills and some principles and some concepts and some things to do as far as being a great and a good communicator in your corporation. So the framework for our discussion will start off about who's on the inside, who you are as the individual, and different character traits that you must have in order to start your legacy, and allowing your legacy to be rooted in who you are as an individual, who you are as a person, who you are as a human being. But then we'll move to communication with the interpersonal communication, meaning your face-to-face, in-person interactions with people. And that's very important in a corporation or in whatever workforce that you want to work in. And team communication is key. We have to be able to communicate effectively and efficiently with teams, because this is the world we live in. We don't do anything almost by ourselves. And so we need to be able to effectively communicate with the team. And lastly, we'll be talking about global communication. And these are skills and these are principles that will go across borders into all the regions of the world, that will also shore up your legacy. So who you are on the inside, how you interact with people one-on-one in person, how are you as a teammate, and then how do you communicate to the entire world. So the first thing I want you to understand is that it's about hard work. Your creating a legacy starts with hard work. This is one of my favorite books by Angela Duckworth called Grit. And it's truly a book about persevering and pursuing whatever that you want to do and whatever you want to accomplish, regardless of the obstacles, regardless of how hard it is, that you will actually do your best, and because you have this grit. And I love this quote here that says, dreams don't work unless you do. Sometimes life is like rolling up a huge ball up a hill. And we know that. In order to climb up that hill, you will have to have grit. And grit is one of those things that will take you a long way if you have it. It comes through perseverance and different things, but I want you all to know that grit is the same thing as hard work. So I wanted to lead off with that to say, start off your legacy with hard work, but also your legacy should be consistent with integrity. Will you do the right thing when no one is watching? When no one will find out, will you do the right thing and handle the situation correctly? What are your values, your principles, right? What are the things that you stand on, regardless of what's going on around you? Because there are going to be times where it's going to take integrity to be that leader, to be that worker, to be that associate, to be that person that's going to be to stand on integrity. This shores up your legacy. But one of my points that I had to learn was the attention to detail. One of my earlier managers at Bank of America, he was very particular, and his attention to detail was unmatched. And he really taught me how the attention to detail actually, if I was able to do that, then people would trust me more with handling certain tasks. And I thought that was awesome. So sometime we have to find that one piece of grass that's sticking up. When you pay attention to detail, the big picture will take care of itself. So when you pay attention to detail, you become more dependable. And everyone wants to depend on you. And when I say that, means when you're establishing your legacy in a corporation, you have to be dependable, that they'll know that you are the person to go to in order to handle this task. Regardless of the task or regardless the size of the task, you will have to be that person. Are you trustworthy? Are you honest? Honesty is crucial in developing your legacy. Honesty is the fastest way to prevent a mistake from turning into a failure. And notice how trust and honesty and truth is so close to each other. So establishing your legacy, it should be rooted in the things that I just mentioned. So how do we? So now we understand what's going on the inside of you, but how do we deal and communicate in person? So this next section is about communicating in person with your different colleagues, associates, and these principles can go along in your personal life, with your family, with your friends, with your coworkers, with anyone that you're interacting with on a one-on-one basis. So the framework is going to be a learner versus judger, emotional intelligence, and self-aware. Are you a learner or a judger? A learner is a person that when someone else is speaking to you, your focus, your intent to learning what that person is saying, what that person is meaning, and how you can connect with your thoughts to theirs. So you are considered a learner. Others of us are considered judges, where we're simply waiting until this person is finished speaking before we interject and say what we want to say. Judges want to get their point across without understanding the other person's point of view, without understanding what the other person is saying. And this can go along with every type of relationship that you have. So here's the difference. Judges, will ask these questions: who is responsible for this mess, right? But a learner might ask, what can we do about this? A judger says, why can't you get it right? But a learner will say, going forward, what can we learn from this? Judger, can you try a better approach? Or a learner will say, what are you trying to accomplish? Who are you as far as your communication? Are you a learner or are you a judger? Are you a judger when your parents are talking to you? Are you a learner when your parents are talking to you? Are you a judger or a learner in your business context, when your teachers are talking, when you have a opposing view of your teacher, your friend, are you really trying to understand what they're saying, or you're just trying to make your point be made? I think we have to ask ourselves, are we a learner or are we a judge? But also with your interpersonal communication is this concept called emotional intelligence. I've done some research on this and in my PhD program, and I don't want to go through all of it, but emotional intelligence, the core of it is your ability to recognize the emotions of others and the emotions of yourself, and be able to interact using the intelligence of both yourself and the other person, as far as business, communication, and social ideas. For example, if a person if a person is sad and is crying, is this the best time to tell a joke? Maybe not so. Or is this the best time to show them empathy about what they're going through in their life? Emotional intelligence will tell you how to do that. Are you the person that doesn't know when your friend is having a bad day by just looking at them or having a conversation? That means you have low emotional intelligence. So I would challenge you all to look more into this concept, because it is a very real and interactive, interpersonal tool. But not only is it emotional intelligence, but what about self-awareness? And this is one of the things that I pride myself on, because I take pride in knowing where I am and who I am in the moment. There are going to be times where you don't feel a certain way, or you might not feel good, or you might have some bad news, or you might have had some great news, but you need to be self-aware to understand your own emotional states. So low self-awareness is unaware of your own emotional states. You're also unaware of those triggers that lead to emotional hijacking. Emotional hijacking means my emotions are extreme, and because of those extreme emotions, that is determining what I am going to do and what I'm going to say. That is emotional hijacking. Lower self-awareness people are unaware of strengths and weaknesses of their own communication skills. But high awareness is aware of their emotional state. They're aware of their triggers and tendencies to say the wrong thing, and they are aware of their communication skills. So I would challenge you all to be high self-awareness. This takes skill, this takes practice, but learn these things as you grow up and as you mature through your academic and your careers in general. So those are the foundational principles of interacting with people one-on-one in person. So we talked about emotional intelligence. We talked about self-awareness and these things. But now we're going to move on to communication as it pertains to a team. As it pertains to a team. Let's just face it. You're going to have to work with teams. This is something that you will just not get away from, regardless of what industry that you're in, regardless of what country you live in, regardless of who your customers will be, locally, globally. Teamwork is an intricate part of doing business and your work environment. So it is important for you to establish a legacy, not only on one-on-one interactions, but also with teams. So the framework of our team communication is we're going to talk about you managing meetings, working in virtual teams, group writing, and managing difficult conversations. I know you all are so excited about managing difficult conversations. My students My students hate when I teach them about managing difficult conversations because it is a difficult conversation. But I promise today won't be awkward for you. So let's start off with managing meetings. One of the keys that people forget is that you have to plan for your meeting. Do not just call a meeting and have the meeting and start the meeting, right? There are going to be some planning, some things that you need to do to start your meeting. So having some essential questions already prepared before your meeting starts is a great tool to have, right? Creating and distributing the agenda. The agenda is what is going to happen in the meeting. Give that out before the meeting starts. And typically we give it out right before the meeting starts, but the earlier the better for creating and distributing the agenda, because that lets the people attending the meeting know that you have a plan for this meeting. That establishes and helps with your legacy. Now, after you plan the meeting, you have to run the meeting effectively, right? So set expectations when the meeting starts so everyone can be on the same page. Follow the agenda that you had already planned to stick to the plan. Now, there may be slight variations, but in general, stick to your plan. Encourage the people that are in the meeting to participate. No one wants a meeting where they're just going to stand there and sit there and just listen to you talk the entire time for a meeting, not for a lecture like this, but for a meeting, okay? And then close the meeting. So you're going to plan for the meeting and you're going to run the meeting effectively. And then you're going to follow up with the meeting lastly. So you're going to plan, run the meeting, and then you're going to follow up. Create minutes of the meeting. Minutes are the highlighted points that were said almost in order, so everyone can have a recap. And this should be done typed out, sent to everyone. I like mine via email, the meeting, so I can have a snapshot of the different things that were said. Do it as soon as possible. Include the key discussions and the individual roles, but always call to action. Whenever you have a meeting like that, lay it upon the people to do something, all right? So then we're going to work in virtual teams. COVID, globalization, all these different factors have made virtual teams in the forefront of our environment. So build trust, get to know one another. Use technology that's going to initiate and make it a positive impact on being collaborative. And choose a leader. We always need to choose a leader for virtual teams. Running effective virtual meetings, you need to start off with a social chat. Ask questions to encourage participation. What do you think about this, right? Avoid the multitasking. I love that picture on there because sometimes we multitask when we have these meetings and we shouldn't. And use video when possible. Group writing is one of these things that is difficult for me, but it has to be done. And we have to make sure that we're all together on the planning stage. We have to stay flexible and open and make sure all the roles are and the contributions are fair. One person cannot do all of the things. And then here's the part, the managing difficult conversations. If you were in my class, we will spend an entire 2.5 hours on this topic of managing difficult conversations. But here are just 5 key points that I want you all to do. Managing difficult conversations will always be there. There are no times in your life where difficult conversation will not be necessary. So here are some steps to, not just steps, but some principles to think about. Initiate the conversation. Don't let the difficult conversation come to you. You go to it. Disagree diplomatically. understand with the learner mindset of what they want to say, and disagree diplomatically. Avoid exaggerations, find common group, and stay calm. If you do these 5 things, you will have, you'll be more successful in managing a difficult conversation. Regardless if you're a boss or manager to your employee, student to student, student to professor, whatever the relationship is, managing difficult conversations is a key factor when establishing your corporate legacy. And our last section is about global communication. It's 2 things that we're gonna go over: is developing cultural intelligence and understanding cultural dimensions. Developing cultural intelligence. Cultural intelligence is actually the topic that I'm going to do my dissertation on, that I'm actually currently working on my dissertation centered around cultural intelligence. And cultural intelligence is the ability to be placed in a culturally diverse environments and your ability to thrive in those environments that are different than your culture. So you can't tell by me sitting down, but I really like food. I am a food person, okay? And I like food from all across the world. Now, my favorite is Mexican food and Indian food. That's who I am. You have your food, you have the thing that you want. But I believe that food is one of those things that can introduce us to another world, another culture, and be able to have this common ground. And personally, food is if I can sit down and eat with you, regardless of where I'm from or where you're from or what we agree with or what we disagree with, food is one of those things that is a connector to us all. So to develop cultural intelligence, I want you to respect and recognize and appreciate the cultural differences. Be curious about their culture. Avoid stereotypes and adjust your conceptions of time. Now, this conception of time means that in some cultures, when they say be on the Zoom call at, I think it's 4:45 your time, wasn't it today? The sun's barely out here in Dallas, but be on the Zoom call at 4:45. Some cultures take that literally and say, I have to be on there at 4:45. Other cultures say, well, if I'm 15 minutes or an hour late, it's still fine. And other cultures feel like I have to be on there at least 30 minutes in advance. The conception of time varies based off the culture of the person. So develop cultural intelligence. That is the key to your global communication. And understanding the cultural dimensions. And I love this concept, and I love to see how different cultures view individualism versus collectivism. Individualism is the focus on the individual to make the decisions to go after the things that they want. And collectivism is what is best for the entire group. Different cultures vary in that area. And the assertiveness, right? And being assertive for some cultures is looked upon as being arrogant, but being assertive in other cultures is looked at as being a leader. So based off the culture, is the actions of the person is interpreted in different ways. So when we're thinking about a global scale, think about what the culture says about assertiveness and performance orientation. I'm here in the US, and it is high performance orientation. Emphasis on performance is key here. So emphasize results more than relationships. Measurables are the goals. Emphasize financial incentives. But there are other cultures that emphasize relationships more than results. And they de-emphasize financial incentives, and they discuss goals casually without measuring. So as I wrap up, I want you to know that there are two main parts of developing your corporate legacy, and that's character and communication. Now, I know I went through a lot of things today, and I wanted to share a book that I teach from where some of these principles are. And this is the business communication book. It is an awesome book, but it's communication in a business context. I think that's very important. It's not scientific, it's not academic, but it is in a business context. So if you want to dig deeper and have that book, or if you'd like to know more about the topics that I'm going through, that is a great resource. And that is, I believe I'm right on 30 minutes on the dot. So thank you for everything. I'll now open up the floor for questions. And I'll stop sharing. Would you like me to stop sharing? Okay.
Certainly, an inspiring session by you, sir. Your creative and fun-filled session enlightened us and kept each one of us engaged. Now, we would like to request our speaker, Mr. Rick Jordan, to kindly answer a few queries put forth by the audience. For this, may I now invite the moderator of the session, Ms. Pilsey, to pose some questions from the audience to you. Over to the moderator.
Sure, there are bound to be a few questions. Let us take up one or two of them. Good evening to all. Let me quickly scan the questions received in the Q&A box. Over to you, sir. We have a couple of questions. Why legacy is important in business, and how do you make a good legacy?
Legacy is important because it is what you're going to impact other people by, right? Legacy is a thing that when people see you, they're going to associate certain characteristics and certain qualities about you. And I don't want to go through all of it, but the honesty, the integrity, the hard work, the communication, all these things speak to who you are. But that is important to you because when you want to climb up the ladder, when you want to network in the different environments, when you want to gain new business, new customers, new associates, your legacy is the thing that is going to help you the most.
Thank you so much, sir. We have one more query. What advice would you give to someone interviewing at Global Communications?
That's a good question. I like that question. That was a good question. Okay, so what I would do first is research the company that you're being interviewed. All right. You need to know some information about that company. Also, if you can, and you may not be able to, if you can research the person that is interviewing you. Now you have social media. Now you have so many things that you can understand about a person. You all can go to my social media account, H. Rick Jordan, and find out so much about who I am. Do that with the person that you're interviewing. So research the company, research the person, but also research the culture of the company and the place that you're interviewing. Because what you may, in your culture, may mean one thing, but in another culture, it might mean something else. So you don't want to come across differently when you're not intending to. So for example, my first interactions with Indians, people from India, was your confirmation of understanding what I just said, right? But in America, we go up and down, not side to side. So I thought the person was saying no, but the person was really understanding what I was saying. I had to learn Indian culture in order to interpret what she was saying. So I would say those three things are the best things to do when you're interviewing for global communication.
Thank you so much, sir. We have another query. Describe a time when you had to complete multiple work assignments at once. How did you handle it?
Every day. So at one point in my life, I was managing 3 financial centers, okay? 3 banks at one time. I had to manage the associates, the customers, and the money, the cash, and we had partners. And when I mean partners, we had people that I was not their manager, but they had to work inside my center. So I had to partner with them. And I had to do that with all 3 locations at the same time. So one thing you have to do is you need to learn how to prioritize. Everything cannot be the number one priority. So prioritize the things that you need to get done. Also, learn how to see what is time sensitive and what is not. Some things you need to do immediately. Some things you can wait until the end of the day to do. Some things you can have done by the end of the week or by the end of the month. Being able to really prioritize when you're multitasking is the key. And another thing is stay proactive and control your environment. Do not let your environment control you. So in other words, be proactive, not reactive. That is the best way to approach when you're handling things. I mean, I literally used to have to drive to one center during my lunch break to handle a time-sensitive matter, and then drive to the third center for the afternoon shift. So, it was a difficult time, but that's how I answer that question.
Thank you so much, sir, for the insightful answers. We have many queries, and yes, the students can access the mobile app and the questions will be directly addressed. The link to the feedback form has been shared in the chat box. Every attendee who submits the feedback form will receive a digital certificate. Over to you, Shreya.
Thank you, sir, for all your support and guidance given to the large audience by attending to their concerns so patiently during the course of the discussion.
You should definitely come to DBU. You will thoroughly enjoy your experience here. I've been able to learn so much about the American culture and so much about international cultures as well. And DBU is the one place that you can do both. You can really just learn about the whole world. And that's been amazing to me.
When we are here, we are so far from family, but we are never without family, because there's a new people that God put in our lives just to care about us.
Every day, DBU graduates live out their God-given callings and lifelong dreams across the world. From the moment a student sets foot on campus, our faculty and staff equip students with the right skills and knowledge needed to be successful in business and in life. Find your path. Pursue your calling. Start your journey today at Dallas Baptist University.
The contact information of DBU is shared in the slide for further details about the admission. The link to the feedback form will be shared in the chat box. Every attendee who submits the feedback form will receive a digital certificate.
As we draw the end of this enriching session, I deem it my great privilege to propose a vote of thanks. We express our heartfelt thanks to the spokesperson, Mr. Rick Jordan, for sharing us details and giving us an overview of the career guidance. Thank you, sir.
Our deepest sense of appreciation and gratitude to Chairman Dr. Sivakumar Manikam and the members of the Board of Directors, Indian Schools in Oman. Our heartfelt thanks to the President, Mr. Ajayan Poyara, members of the Indian School Pasha School Management Committee, and the Principal of the school, Dr. Bhavesh Bhalera. Heartfelt thanks to our Platinum sponsor, Jane deemed to be University, gold sponsor De Montfort University, silver sponsors Dallas Baptist University USA, Grey Matters, SP Jain School of Global Management, Sri Ramchandra Institute of Higher Education and Research, and bronze sponsors Middle East College, SP Jain School of Global Management, digital marketing partner Spectrum and Foil, media partner The Arabian Stories, powered by support sponsors. Over to the video.
You should definitely come to DBU. You will thoroughly enjoy your experience here. I've been able to learn so much about the American culture and so much about international cultures as well. And DBU is the one place that you can do both.
An event of this kind requires the coordination of a committed team. Thank you to the ISB team for making Avenir 2022 possible. Thank you to each of the teachers, students, and parents for being a part of the session.
It is our attitude at the beginning of a difficult task which more than anything else will affect its successful outcome, quoted by William James. With these uplifting words, I, Shreya,
And I'm Meenakshi.
wish you all a glorious day ahead. You can provide your feedback on the Avenir website, www.avenioman.com. Every attendee who submits the feedback form will receive a digital certificate. See you in the next session. Stay tuned and stay safe.